close to the camera.
See,
look, he's 5 pounds right now.
We're here at the media day for the 2021 Bassmaster Classic on Ray Roberts.
this is a tank. Look at the size of this thing.
Progress we've made so far on our Hobie PA14.
Got it wired up for 12 volt right now.
We got the B127.
That money!
That's a monster!
Got one. Took him long enough, didn't it? He knows. You know that's your outro.
I know, but I mean, like, I was waiting on you because, like, you just kind of put me on the spot and it's like it didn't flow. Like,
Whatever. All right, guys. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to One Objective tonight. We got a really good show lined up. This has been a hot topic that I see on a lot of forums. This is a hot topic that, I see, from even the bass boat guys, kayak guys, all of that. So we're going to go over this tonight, and you can see in the title, should have bought a boat. We're going to be going over, we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down price and show you, boat price, show you bass boat, show you John boat price, show you kayak build price, all of that. And like I say, all of these are just kind of basic builds. This ain't, and you can get away cheaper with a lot of this stuff. It's just a basic guide, I guess we'll say, for if you're adding a motor to a kayak or building a John boat or any of that stuff. So we just want to break it down, break some numbers down for you guys, and show you exactly what it is and why you should buy a boat over a kayak or kayak over a boat. So, but anyways, before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors of this show, some really great companies. They've really supported us. We've been, some times where we didn't do no podcast and all that stuff, and we've talked to them and they understand, they really supported us. And it's great to have a company like that, but also not only with the podcast, but helping us with our YouTube channel and all that stuff. So I just want to thank these great companies. First of all, I want to thank Waterland Sunglasses. Hard to beat their eyewear, like with the different lenses they have, with the different frames that they have a lens for any condition and they have a frame for any condition. Also they got women's eyewear. My wife loves her Waterlands. They look great. They look great on her. And when your wife is feeling great and thinks she's looking great, everybody's happy. So, anyways, great sunglasses. Make sure you go check them out. I love them. They got lenses for good cloudy days or low light days. They got for bright and sunny days, and they also have the ones I really like here lately that I've really fallen in love with has been the bed fishers. They wrap around your face good, especially like say if they kind of named after what they're great at doing is helping you bed fish. And but there's can be used for every application. You know what I mean? I love them. They're great. Running down the lake, you don't get a lot of, some sunglasses, you'll kind of get that wind that comes in around the side if you're running down the lake at speed in a bass boat. These help keep everything protected. They don't fog up. I mean, they're great sunglasses. So make sure you go check them out. There's going to be a link down in the bottom in the description of this show. Whether you're on iTunes, whether you're on YouTube or whatever, I'm going to have a link and you can go there and click on that, and that'll take you to Waterland Sunglasses website, and it automatically will give you your 15% off on your purchase. So make sure you go to Waterland Sunglasses, check them out. Next, I want to thank Missile Baits. If you haven't heard of Missile Baits, you've been living under a rock, and I don't even know if you bass fish anymore, but great company. Work with John Cruz and all of them. Phenomenal people. He puts a lot of time in designing these baits. They got a great scent. They got great action, and they got a bait to cover basically every scenario or every condition, whatever you're going to be confronted with. They got a bait and a color for that. So make sure you go check out missilebaits.com. You can also go on oneobjectivebf.com, and we got basically every single thing that Missile Baits makes on there. So make sure you go check them out. Last one, Amped Outdoors. I love these batches. I love the support we get from this company. Also, I've had that chance to really sit down and talk with them at ICAST, face to face, and just a great group of guys that really love what they do. and love being able to keep the customers out on the water for long periods of time because their batteries last forever. And we've sold a lot of them, and I can count on one hand of the issues we've had with them, and a lot of that has been due to shipping. You know, a cracked housing or something like that. But or we might have had a charger go bad one time, and they took care of it instantly. So been a great company to work with. I love working with these guys. So make sure you go check out Amped Outdoors. You can also check them out on oneobjectivebf.com. We're a dealer for them as well. So go on and check them out. And we're going to be talking a lot about Amped Outdoors today. I say a lot. They're going to be included into the pricing and everything that we're going to be doing on these builds here. So, but first, I want to go over and tell everybody we were going to try to have James on today. That was the intentions to have him on because he does a lot of our builds. Me and him work together on them, but like a lot of them are done by him while I'm shipping or building or taking care of customer calls and all that stuff. So James does do a lot of these buildings, but pricing and all that we're all very familiar with. And but James is so we're filming this on a Monday right now. So y'all, it's when y'all are hearing this, it's Tuesday or after. But James is going in on surgery today. Ended up having a really bad infection and stuff in his elbow, which they thought was oh man, I can't even think what it was now. But anyways, it's basically he couldn't hardly bend his arm. Had a lot to do on his elbow, and he ended up having a procedure done to get it drained, and then it just got worse and turned an infection, and so now it's in the bone, and they're having to go in and do surgery today on him. So just prayers with him, and hope everything goes smoothly, and he's able to heal quickly and get back out on the water and get back to work. You need to get back to work first of all, but get back on the water. So anyways, prayers with him, guys. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers and all that. So also me and Tammy, we talked about this in the last show at the end. If you made it that far through the show, me and Tammy are talking about doing a podcast show. We're still working out some bugs and some titling and just how we want to structure the show. So it's definitely coming. We just haven't figured out exactly how we want it to go yet. And it's just going to be like basically family life and everyday life and issues in the world, and kind of it ain't gonna be a fishing podcast. It might be some fishing talking in it. I cannot go and have a conversation without at least speaking something of fishing. So it's going to be some of that in there as well. So just stay tuned for that. I mean, I'm hoping here in the next month or so we'll have something going live for that. So but let's kind of dig into you should have bought a boat. Look, that is one thing that chaps my butt every single time that we do a post on Facebook. And Chris, I don't know if you've seen it or not or what, but you can do a rig and you can share it all, show it off, and like, hey, this is a custom rig that we did. We're kind of showing our work, advertising it. And should have bought a boat. And my comment always is, you can't fish a kayak tournament in a boat. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And I bet you, man, when we were in the cars, you know what I mean? And I dealt with 4 cylinders a lot. We dealt with Subarus, and I had a hopped up Saturn. I had, like just odd end things that we did, but it was mainly revolved around kind of the 4-cylinder group. But some of the buddies I had Mustangs and Camaros, and then we got into street bikes and stuff like that. But it was always, you had a 4-cylinder. Why didn't you just get a Camaro? Why didn't you get a V8? V8 this, blah, blah, blah. Just keep on about it. And I'm kind of comparing that to this industry right now. You could have bought a 600 street bike. Why didn't you get a 1000?
Yeah.
I didn't want a 1000. I didn't want to die that fast. Like I'm new to motorcycles. So, but anyways, I mean, it seems like that is kind of the norm with everything. No matter what industry you're in, if you buy something that you're comfortable with and you share it or talk with somebody about it, why didn't you get this? And it's like, that's not what I wanted. This is what I want. So, and that's very true on this industry. I know guys have bought bass boats and they're like, oh man, I can go catch just as much fish out of my plastic boat as you can in that $100,000 bass boat. You're right, you can. But it's whatever makes you happy, and it depends on what you're fishing. If you're going to travel around and you're going to fish big tournaments for the Bassmaster Opens, You know, you don't want to go buy a small little boat. We're not saying you can't do this. You don't want to go buy a small little boat that's going to be hard to run or have issues with boats. You know what I mean? Like buying a used boat, which you can, still not knocking it. When you put that much money on the line, you want to try to have the best that you can afford to go out there and not have issues and worries and all this stuff. So, kind of getting down to it, let's dig into should have bought the boat and the boat prices. Okay, now bass boats have come a long ways, and so has their pricing. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I used to have what was that? What was that, a 17-foot Skeeter I had? I think it
I
was.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, and my green one, old forest green color,
Yeah.
had a 115 on the back. I think that's what it was on the back. It was 115, and great boat. Performed excellent. We've caught a lot of fish in that boat. I mean, that was a fun little boat. Didn't have a lot of room. Didn't have hardly any storage in that boat, but we made it work. You know what I mean? We fished.
Yeah.
I fished a lot of club tournaments out of that boat. Ran great. I ended up buying, but you know, at the time when I bought that boat, it was $7,000 used. I think it was a 96 Skeeter, something like that. And used with the EFI 115 on it. Great motor, run great. I never had no problems out of that motor. I think I had one time where oh man, what is it for the charging of the battery? I'm having a brain fart.
Alternator.
Well, not the alternator, the regulator on the top, the regulator where it switches the voltage over, you know, to charge. That ended up catching fire on the top of the motor that one time. So didn't know it until I took the cap off and just seen everything was warped and melted. And I was like, holy crap. So, but anyways, but you know, that was, I think it was $100 some fix that or whatever, but great boat. And then I ended upgrading to a 19-foot Skeeter and loved that boat, but ended up having a motor pop, and luckily it didn't destroy it horribly. And I sent the top end off, the half block or whatever, off to Florida to have rebuilt, and that was like $4,800 I had to pay to have that rebuilt, and the shipping was like $150 to get it down there, and then $150 back, and you know, all that stuff. So I did all the work myself, getting the motor on and off, but that's what it costs to just to get it rebuilt, and wrapping some money up in it, you know. But that boat I bought used down in Atlanta for $22,000, I think it was, and I've sold it recently. And I actually seen that boat the other day, Chris, up there at Smith Mountain Lake. They were backing it in. They had new wheels on it, and it was beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see it still kicking good, you know.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I had some money in that boat, but I really loved that boat. It had a lot of storage. It ran great. I mean, it was a 70-mile-an-hour boat, just with a 200 on it. You know, it's just a fast boat, and I've always loved Skeeter. Now that we got the Ranger aluminum boat, which I got that boat with intentions to, you know, fish tournaments, but also go fishing stuff that I normally wouldn't put a fiberglass in, you know, like going in and putting in the river and just going up to where I can get and fish around some little more rocky stuff, you know. Nothing to really tear the aluminum boat up either, because I'm not going to say they're going to hold up much better than fiberglass, but just I can get into some stuff a little bit easier with that boat. It's been a great boat. I have had a lot of fun in it so far. I mean, there's some things I wish it had more of, better storage for one. It's just been I don't know. I carry a lot of crap always, and I can't carry the crap that I want to carry and keep it organized the way I want to keep it organized. But I mean, you know, for most people, it's probably a great boat, but people that carry a lot of stuff, it's not. But I've had a lot of fun with it. But you know, when you get into those boats there, getting back to pricing, from what I paid from used boats, so this is the first brand new boat I've ever owned. Even if I went and bought one used, that's why we looked at used boats, and the used boat market was pretty similar. If I bought like a 2021 to what I could get a new boat for, you know, by the time you pay interest rate on loans and all that stuff. So me and James was like, man, this doesn't make sense to go buy a used boat that we could potentially have issues with, because you don't know how they broke it in. You don't know what people have done with boats. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's like buying a used ATV. You don't know if that dude sunk it in a mud hole and then sucked mud all in it. He just kind of a quick little clean out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Just got to run it enough to get it sold. So you just don't know what kind of problems you're going to get into with that. And like I said, I don't mind buying used, but motors are expensive when they blow up, especially if you ain't got warranty. So a lot of times you can find it with transferable warranties. But you just gotta be careful. But so I was looking at boats, and like a Ranger fully decked out aluminum boat. This ain't fiberglass, because you get into fiberglass, you're looking at $100,000. With like a 21 footer, with all the goodies, with power poles and graphs and all that stuff. Now you can get it without graphs, but you ain't saving yourselves but a little bit of money. If you're gonna get it, why not get it rigged the way you want it? Not unless you just can't afford that payment of time and you want to add as you go.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But with power poles and the graphs and all that stuff, you're looking at close to $50,000 for Ranger aluminum. You get without power poles and all that, you're looking in the mid-40s for aluminum boat, which is crazy to me, because back in the day when you could get a 19-foot Triton fiberglass, brand new, power poles wasn't a big deal then, at the time, but you were still looking at like $40,000 for a brand new fiberglass boat. Now you get a 19-foot fiberglass boat, looking at $70,000, depending on which brand you go with. Now you can go to the new Icon that Jacob Wheeler's boosting out there and put his name all over. I mean, now it's $108,000 right off of the giddy without adding the extras. I mean, that's $130,000 bass boat. Depending on your graphs and all that. That's outrageous. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can't win. You can't win enough club tournaments and not pay for that. I mean, you got to fish. If you're running that kind of boat, you either guiding where you could pay for it quickly, or you are one heck of an angler and you're fishing the opens, or you're fishing the elite series. You know what I mean?
Well, you just got more money than you know what to do with.
Yeah, and you just like to say, hey, I spent $150,000 for a bass boat. That's just that kind of, because if you're going to spend $150,000 to go fish a Friday nighter or a Thursday nighter to win $150-200, some of these events you can win $1,000. Some of these bigger trails that they'll have around here, and you can win a good little chunk. But I mean, still, then you got your maintenance. You know what I mean? You got all that's included in that boat that you don't see at first, gas and all that stuff. It gets really expensive. But so I did some research, and I went on Tracker Boats, and I went on, Ranger Boats, but also went on, why can't I think of the other boat name? Anyways, but I went and looked at Avid Boats. Oh, Vexen. That's what it was. Vexen Boats. They got a really nice aluminum lineup of boats.
Never heard of them.
So Vexen is basically a spinoff from Ranger. When Ranger sold out, Ranger, Force Wood and all them, went, and his sons and them made Vexen, and their fiberglass boats are $100,000. I mean, they're expensive. I'm not a big fan of the fiberglass boat. The way I don't know, it's just something about it. I don't like it that much. I mean, it's a good looking boat, but it's not for me. But looking at along the lines of a lot of the 19-foot aluminum boats, now you can get down to the 17s and you're looking in the 30s. You know what I mean? On a lot of these brands. So I went and looked at Tracker. If you wanted to get into a boat, and just a basic setup to go out fishing, and you're not worried about a lot of tournaments. If you're going to fish a tournament, it's going to be a Thursday night or Friday night or during a weekday, or a weekend tournament around Swim Mountain Lake. You ain't making long runs, stuff like that. You can go buy a Tracker 170 Pro with a 50 horsepower 4-stroke on the back, which I'm going to tell you right now, these Mercury 4-strokes, I haven't run a lot of the Yamaha 4-strokes and all the other brands, so I can't say nothing about them. Man, they sip the gas. It's phenomenal how many times I can go out on a tank of gas on a 150. I mean, it does that good. But you can get a Tracker Pro 170 4-stroke, and I upgraded it because the regular 40 horsepower, the boat was like 19 something, by the time you had tax, title, and freight and all that stuff. So I added a 50 to it. It only went up $20,000. I didn't go up $20,000. It's only $20,000 for that boat. So that's a 17-foot with a 50 on it, 4-stroke. man, you'll fill that dude up. I bet you go out in that thing a freaking month. You know what I mean? Not unless you're going to run from all the way up to Roanoke, all the way to Blackwater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back, you'll burn some gas doing that. But $20,000, okay? So just pay attention to a lot of this as I'm going through these prices today, because I'm going to really break it down on that. Now that $20,000, now you got taxes you got to pay on that every year, depending on where you live. Not everywhere is like this, but Virginia, and they love to take your money, you're going to pay taxes on that boat.
Oh
Okay?
yeah.
So, but on $20,000 boat, taxes is not that bad. All right. So then, but even if you built a kayak or a john boat, you're going to have to pay taxes on it if you register the the kayak. You know what I mean? But I pay $7 on my kayak. It's not that bad. So that's $20,000. All right. Now let's go to a john boat build. So I basically went off of the same boat that James has as a john boat. It's a Lund 1648. All right. Great little boat. Now, these prices that I'm going to give you are basic setups. This isn't putting a deck in the boat. This isn't getting the best graphs and the best trolling motor, all that stuff. This is a basic build to get you on the water and go fishing. Not to worry about all the technical stuff and all that. It's just to get you on the water and go fishing. And prices can vary. You can go buy a used john boat already set up and not have all this money in it, but you just got to be careful what you get, because if rivets are leaking and this and that, you got to fix all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's important, if you buy a used john boat, make sure you go put it on the water before you do anything to it. Float it for a little while near the ramp and make sure that you ain't got nothing leaking. You ain't got the transoms rotted out, or, you got a rivet leaking, or just put it in the water, put the plug in, and just got that float around for a little bit. Make sure you ain't got no water coming in. And then you can start building your deck and all that stuff on it, But anyways, so a Lund, a brand new Lund 1648 is $3,945. Let's say you add a trailer. I just went on Triton Trailers. I looked around. You're looking anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 for an aluminum trailer. Now you can go buy john boat trailers. There's john boat trailers for sale all the time. But if you look, a lot of them guys, they're anywhere between $300 to $1,000. Now you might have to go and repack the hubs or put new hubs on. Need new tires. Most of the time, it's cheaper just to go buy the wheel and tire package, not just buy tires.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So by the time it's all said and done, you could have, by the time you pay for the trailer, say you buy $1,000 trailer, you could have $1,500 wrapped up in it. You know what I mean? By the time you do everything to it, bunks, because the bunks could be rotted out. You might need a new winch. Side bunks, if you want to put them on, or make sure it lines up good. It's just little odd end things like that can add up on a used trailer. But you can get the same way with a new trailer as well. But so I'm just gonna say $2,000 for a new trailer. So you got $3,900 for the boat, you got $2,000 for the trailer. So you're sitting there at almost $6,000 right there. All right, now you want a gas motor. You don't have to have it, because some lakes are electric only. Now you can go buy one of them big old honky electric motors that go in the back. And Mercury's got a cool one out. It's reminds me like a DeWalt drill. It's got a battery pack. It just plugs into the top. You're still looking at a lot of money when you get into that stuff. You're still looking at $1,000, $2,000 for that stuff. So let's just say a gas motor, $2,500 for a 9.9 Mercury. Okay. It's not a lot to push that boat. We rode in James's 9.9 is not very strong at pushing that boat. The speed wise is not there, which I know it's a 9.9 pushing us, a 16-foot or 15-foot john boat. And then you got two guys in it. I'm a big dude, so it ain't like it ain't like I'm helping that motor any. So, but you're looking at $2,500, and then you go to Walmart. You can get your trolling motor, a Minn-Kota 12-volt, 45-pound thrust, foot-operated motor. That's what you're gonna want. Not unless you just put one on the back. But I'm building these boats out to how I would like to fish it, like a bass boat. You got your gas motor in the back, you got that up front. You're looking at $398, which ain't bad for a daggone foot operated trolling motor.
No.
And then you need a cranking battery, and you're going to need a trolling motor battery. So a lot of these gas motors are electric start now. The 4-strokes, they're all electric start. Got a little button on it or a key. You just turn it, start them. Man, it's none of this freaking pull,
Yanking and all that foolishness.
busting knuckles and pulling arms out of socket. None of that anymore. Kids have got it easy nowadays. And so, with batteries, and these are just plain, these are lead acid. This isn't lithium. Lithium, you're going to get on up there. You're looking at about $300. And that's getting a decent sized trolling motor battery, like a 30, group 31 or something like that. And like a group 24 cranking battery, which I'd go to like a group 27, because if you're going to add a graph to it, I priced out a Lowrance HDS 7 at $709. That's just your basic Lowrance HDS with, good picture, good transducer, all that. And then you got miscellaneous stuff of $300. That's wiring for your trolling motor, wiring for your graph. If you want to put nav lights on it, front and rear, on-in stuff, USB plug.
Paint if you want to paint it or whatever.
Yeah, if you want to paint it or whatever. But and this ain't including like putting a deck in it, any of that stuff. This is just the basic John boat setup. And then
if it needs them.
Yeah, and actually I didn't even add that. So your seats, you're looking at probably another $100, something like that.
Probably, yeah. If you get the ones at Walmart, you could probably get them a little cheaper, but
yeah. So that's not even included in this price. So we'll add that to this price. But I come out to $10,152. So let's just say you add seats to it. You're looking at what, $10,300? Yeah. So about $10,400, something like that, $10,400 that you're gonna have in it to go fishing. Now that ain't including, which if you buy all this stuff new, like if you go somewhere, like some places will have these John boats set up with the trailer and everything, motor. You can finance it all, however you want to do. If you got cash, whatever. And sometimes they'll do the tags and title for you. If not, then you got to send all that off, and then you got another $150, $200 wrapped up in title. So, but that's not a bad price if you're going brand new. Now you can go used, and if you went used, sometimes you can find these John boats for like $2,000 with a trolling motor, a gas motor.
Everything's there for you. Just pull it and go.
Yeah. I I don't know what the motor is going to be like if it runs, but sometimes you can put a little work in these little motors and get them back running good. Clean the carbs, clean the fuel line. A lot of times in those, I just replace fuel line, get you a new gas tank, and just rock and roll hooch goo. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And go. So you can get away with it cheaper, but all this that I'm doing is a brand new build. So just keep that in mind before I start getting all these comments. Oh, I only got $3,000 in mine. It's completely decked out. Well, yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, at this day and age, where everything costs you an arm and a leg, this is what it's going to cost to build brand new. So let's get down to the kayak build. Now, I'm doing it off of a Hobie PA 14 360. Dude, you can go buy a Bonafide for $1,600. Great kayak to rig. I think it is next to none when it compares to like a Bonafide. Hobie or like a Jackson Nar is another kayak that's great at rigging and can handle the weight and still super stable. So that's like $1,500. So you can take a lot off this price.
Yeah,
rigging, but I'm just building it off of what I own right now. And it can get higher. All these prices can get higher. Bid on the graphs, you get all that. So let's kind of get into on the kayak. All right, I got a Hobie kayak PA 14 360 drive. They've gone up a little bit since what I bought mine. But anyways, it's $5,799 for that kayak. So right now, just that kayak is actually, it's just a little less than buying the boat and the trailer together. Just the kayak, okay? Well, now, if you got a Hobie PA 14 or a Bonafide, whatever you're going to go with, once you start adding all these goodies to it, it gets kind of heavy. You don't want to have to take everything off every time that you leave the boat ramp, because it's just going to take you an hour. It feels like it takes me an hour to get everything unhooked and packed in the boat, 30 minutes at least. So I think a trailer is probably the best way to go when you got a fully decked out kayak, in my opinion. It's easy to load. Just take the bare minimum stuff off, put it in your your truck, and then strap your kayak down and go. You're done. Plus, when you're tournament fishing, if you are fishing a ramp that you don't like and you want to hurry up and go in the middle of the tournament, dude, most of the time I just yank my batteries out. I mean, my rods out the back of my boat. I put the straps on that dude with the motor and everything still on it, and I hit on down the road to the next ramp. And it saves so much time because I get to the next ramp, I throw my rods in there, boom, go. Anyways, you got to get a trailer for it. So you can go online and you can find used jet ski trailers all day long. People are starting to understand the market on that. So from stuff finding jet ski trailers for $250 are now going to about $400 and $500. You still got to redo the bunks on them. You know what I mean? All that stuff. Even if you buy a brand new one, $1,500, you still got to do something with the bunks.
Yeah, it's not set up for a kayak.
Yeah. So either way, you're gonna have $1,000, I think, wrapped up in a trailer plus. Okay. If you buy a brand new one, you're gonna have about $2,000 wrapped up in it plus, probably, give or take, plus or minus. So you're looking at $1,500 for a trailer. So you got what? That's $5, $6, almost what, $7,000 there. 5, 6, yeah, close to 7,000. All right, you're looking at a bow mount XI3. So I'm going to break this down in two different ways. I'm going to do it with a bow mount and I'm going to do it with a rear mount. Okay. So you got a bow mount, you're looking at $1,400, and you're going to need a motor mount for it. You're looking at another $150. Now this is where it gets interesting with batteries and all that stuff. So you're gonna want a lithium in a kayak. You don't want a lead acid group 30.
You don't want all that weight.
No, man, it's way too heavy. Way too heavy. You're already trying to balance things out. If you're a super light, skinny dude, 5'7", you know what I mean? You don't weigh nothing. It might be okay to go lead acid. You don't weigh much. You know what I mean? But you're already adding 43 pounds to the front of that kayak with the motor and all that stuff. Then you're going to add another, what's a Group 31 weigh? 75 pounds?
Probably, if not more.
Yeah. So let's just say 75 pounds to the rear. So you're over 100 and some pounds you just added to it, not including wire, which that ain't a lot. But
wire don't weigh nothing. No.
Yeah. But I mean, by the time you add all that and graphs and this and that, you're getting heavy with the lead acid. So your savings is in the lithium. That's what you're saving for the weight. You do get a better runtime with it as well, but it's just, you know what I mean? So you're looking at $749 for 100 amp hour lithium for an XI3. That's with the charger though, through one objective. Then you need a graph battery because you don't want to run the same graph. You don't want to run your graph off the same battery as powering your motor. I mean, you know what I mean? So because you get a lot of interference with it. So you're looking anywhere between $250 to $300, depending on what size you go with. I mean, if you're going to go with a regular HDS 7, which I didn't even add that into. Oh yeah, I did. If you're going with HDS 7, that's $709. You're looking at, and then a graph, you could probably get away with a 20 amp hour and run that graph all day. But now let's say you want to go in and add light scope. Now you got your box, that pulls so much more power. You're going to want to at least go with a 40, in my opinion, when you're going to run live scope and your graph. So, and that's still charging every night and this and that. I mean, if you went to a 60, you're getting into about 350 to 400, something like that. To make sure and plus if you're running GoPros and nav lights, which those don't take a lot because they're all LED, they don't take a lot, but you just got all this extra stuff that you could be running. And also we run our power pole, we don't use their battery pack for power pole because it's garbage. I don't like their battery pack. Sorry, power pole. I love all your other products. I do not like your battery pack for that. I think it's garbage. So so I run all that into my main power source. So I run all that. So we go to at least a 60 when we run everything. And then you just got miscellaneous stuff, $500. That's your wire. That's USB plugs. That's Anderson plugs, trolling motor plugs. Just odd end stuff. You know what I mean? A Yak Tack products that you want to put on there. You know, to
all your rod mounts and boxes.
Yep. I mean, and it can get higher than that. You know what I mean? So, but like I say, this is all just the basic stuff. So we're looking at $11,107 in a kayak. $11,107. You're $1,000 more than a John boat right at the moment. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the Torqeedo kayak with a Torqeedo. Same kayak, same price, $5,799, same trailer. Now we're taking the $1,400 off the XI3 and we're adding the Torqeedo 1103, which is $2,800.
It's doubled it.
Yes. So it's 28. Okay. And then you need a rear mount for it. That's $156. Now, the thing with the Hobie is, and it's like this with a lot of other kayaks that we've taken with the Native, with the Jackson, with all of them, it does not steer with the rudder, with the Torqeedo on the rear, with a motor on the rear in general. You cannot hardly steer it with the rudder. I don't know what it is, but it will not steer. If you try to lock that motor in place and just steer it with the rudder, it's not going to go nowhere. It turns like a freaking tanker ship. You need about a 5-mile radius to turn that thing. So you're especially on the, we do this a lot with a lot of customers' boats with the PA14s and 12s and all that stuff, is we put foot controls on it so you can mount them onto the railing and you can put your foot controls on there, and we got to run cable to the back, but you got to have a through hole kit, and you run that to your motor, and you using your pedals. Now the thing with the pedals, you're kind of giving up some of your rod storage right there if you like to use that. Some people don't like using it, they like blocking them off. We got a block off plate for it. They like blocking them off, and they put switches and all that stuff. They don't worry about putting rods right there. So anyways, so you got the other foot controls, with foot controls, with the foot controls itself and the cable, you're looking about $125 there. I still got the graph battery for $250, $300, and the graph for $709, miscellaneous $500 still. Taking off the, if my math is correct, taking off the XI3 and taking off the trolling motor battery, the 100 amp lithium, you're still at you're almost at $12,000.
Yeah.
With that, you know what I mean? Like, these kayaks are getting expensive. Now, like you say, if you wanted to rig a Bonafide with all of this, okay. Well, let's say 11.9, because you're going to take off the price of that. So 11.9 subtract 5,799. That's 6,189 when you take that off of there. So let's go plus 1,500. That's $7,689 with a Torqeedo. Okay, that's not with the XI3 or anything like that. With the Torqeedo,
what's the weight difference between a Torqeedo and a regular XI?
Well,
with the battery,
with the 1103, and see, that's the thing too with the Torqeedo 1103, it already comes with the battery. So
yeah, that's why I was thinking it already has its own battery, so you don't have
to. So you don't have
that
to
weight. That weight's not there.
Yeah, so I can't remember what the weight was on the Torqeedo. Let's see. Oh man, go figure.
Torqeedo batteries aren't that heavy, no way. But
no. The thing is with a Torqeedo battery, this is my big beef with Torqeedo is they got their battery set up to where it can only basically run their motor. You can't use it to run anything else.
Yeah.
I think it does have maybe like a USB port on or something. I could be wrong on that, accessory port or something like that. I can't remember on that. I haven't dealt with their battery in a while, but I'm trying to look at their specs here. But it's about like a 3 horsepower motor is what they're rating it as. It's a 915 watt high performance lithium battery. Oh man, where's their specs? Here we are. I've never looked at the weight. I know the 1103 is a lot heavier than the 403 AC. Total weight in kilograms is 15.3. Motor weight without battery is 9.3. What is kilograms? What is 15 kilograms to pounds?
33 pounds.
So 32 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're about 10 pounds lighter with the 1103. You're going to get more speed out of the 1103.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. You're going to run, I think it's around 7 miles an hour or something like that. You run with the 1103 compared to the XI3, where I run like 4.5 with my XI3. You can go bigger. I mean, we got some guys that run 80-pound thrust motors on the front. Going to like the XI5 24-volt system. You know what I mean? You can do all that. But I mean, now, so looking at these kayaks and rigged fully out, Jamie and them had one at the Bassmasters Classic. Not this year, the year before. That was $19,000 and something they sold it for. If you get into live scope, for instance, on that one that we just did at 11.9, okay, add another $1,500 to that just for the box. You know what I mean? All right, so you're going to want, let's say you go Garmin. Let's take off the 709. You can get a Garmin 93 SV on their spring sales for like what? It's a 9-inch graph. Their basic one, I think it's what, $600 some dollars, something like that.
Probably, yeah.
So you can get the 1,500 that. So you got over $2,000 in the graph there. All right. So let's add 2,000 to the 11. All right. So now you're at $13,000. Okay. Battery setup, all that. Now you need some kind of system to turn your live scope. So you're looking at another $150 there. You can wrap. Sorry. If you do it all yourself, it saves you a lot of money. But if you got to pay somebody to do it, say you don't know how to do a lot of this stuff or you don't understand it, you can wrap $20,000 up in a kayak quickly. Okay. And yes, what did we just price out the tracker at? $20,000. Tournament wise, fishing wise, you don't have a lot of maintenance with that boat. With the kayak, you don't have motor maintenance. You will with taking your prop off and cleaning the line off and making sure connections are good and, on and end stuff that could fail. But maintenance wise, like changing oil, adding gas, you take out a lot of that expense. Okay. But when it all comes down to it in the end, you can't fish a kayak tournament out of a boat. You can fish a kayak. You can fish a bass boat. Some, not going to say all, guys have been doing it, have been fishing like a Thursday nighter out of a kayak. I haven't seen it here. I think Casey Reed was going to do one of them. But, guys will do these small little events where it's a couple boats in it, and they'll fish. Hey, can I fish it out of my kayak? And they'll have like a cooler in the back, or they'll have their basket or whatever that you put their fish in. You know what I mean? That pulls behind their boat. So, I mean, yeah, you can fish those events like that, but you can't go fish a big bass boat event in a kayak.
No.
And so just kind of breaking down the prices, it's all in what you want. Okay. You can do all of this way cheaper than what I listed here. I mean, the market it's a buyer's market right now for used kayaks on Facebook Marketplace. You go on Facebook Marketplace and look at the used kayaks, or you go on Facebook in general and go to the Bonafide forums or Hobie forums or kayak selling forums and just look at the used market right now. You can find some really great deals, and you can do all of this way cheaper. You can have, you could save all your money, buy a used kayak. Hopefully, don't have no cracks on. You got to check that stuff. But you can save a lot of money, buy a used kayak, and then go buy what you saved there. You can go buy you a nice graph for, or go buy that lithium that, he's like, I'm up in the fence. If I buy a new one, I can't go buy a lithium because there goes my money, my budget. Yeah. But if you do a little bit at a time, it's not that bad. Now, we've had customers that came in and they're like, I want double graphs. I want Torpedo. I want this. I want that. And I want this. And I'm like writing these prices down. And you're kind of scared to tell them what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And some people don't bat an eye, and I'm like, holy moly, boy. So, but I love it. We love doing the rigging jobs. We love doing all that and showing off what can be done to these kayaks, but like where we go wading at and all that, you can't get a bass boat up there, So in a perfect world, if you had the money, it'd be nice to have both, I'm not saying a bass boat in general, but like a John boat. Have you John boat and a kayak, and if you do it right and you do it on a budget, you can. It just depends on your room, how much room you got, and if your wife lets you have 2 boats, and you can try to make it make sense to her, and all that. So it's a lot to it. But like, for instance, some money you can save too, $1,500. I was talking about for a trailer. I mean, you can save a lot of money if you just want to get you a bed extension and load it in the bed of your truck. Yeah. It's just you got to tear it down a lot, So I mean, there's ways to save money and all this. There's ways to save money in the bass boat market. There's a lot of used bass boats out there. You just got to be very careful when you're buying used. I get compression checks done. I'd get, take it out on the water with them. Hey, can we take it out? You can go with me, and we want to run this boat, make sure everything works right, and all that stuff, just It's things to look for. You can save a lot of money to get on the water. You don't have to spend $100,000 on a bass boat. You don't have to spend $20,000 on a kayak to compete. You don't have to spend $10,000 on a kayak to compete. What I'm getting at is go buy it and get in it first and fish in it before you go buy. Man, we've done a lot of kayaks where people have never even been in a kayak and wants all this stuff on it, and I don't think that's very smart.
No.
In my opinion. And I always try to tell a lot of our customers, take the kayak out before you bring it to us so you can get a feel for it, feel what it feels like. You know what I mean?
Somebody that's doing a demo day or something and do that.
Yeah. Because, man, when you start adding weight and adding this and adding that, it can make the stability kayak different. You know what I mean? Most time when we rig them, all the time when we rig them, we try to do weight distribution correctly on it. You know what I mean? Get the weight distributed across the kayak correctly so you're not getting too much up front or too much in the rear where it can cause it to be tippy. So it's very important to have your weight distributed on a kayak when you're rigging these things. But, some people, man, you get in a kayak and they think, oh, man, that's a really cool thing. I've never been kayaking before a day in my life. I bought a Hobie PA-14. They might get out there and like, man, I don't feel comfortable at all on this boat. Why did I buy this? But they'll go buy it instead of taking it out. They'll bring it to us and we'll rig it. And then they want to take it out. And then now they're edgy. You know what I mean? Because they got a lot of money in this thing. Now they're scared they're going to tip it. And if they don't like the feel of it, then they're going to want to get rid of it. And they just invested all this money. It's really hard to go get. If you rig a kayak brand new, rig it out, and say you got $15,000 wrapped up in it, it's really hard to turn around and sell a kayak for $15,000.
No, nobody's going to give you that for it.
No, it's really hard. So just remember, guys, these are plastic boats. It's plastic. Anything can happen. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, you should have bought a boat. Maybe sometimes you should have, depending on what you're going to fish. But if you want to take your family out and have something that's universal, for instance, like our boat, we can pull a tube with our boat. You know what I mean? With the Ranger. I can use it as going out with the family, pulling a tube. We can go fishing. We can go swimming. All that stuff. When you buy one kayak, well, and say your family wants to go with you. Some guys doesn't matter, but some guys got families and you want to do family time. Now you got to buy them kayaks. Now you got to load all of them. You got to get them all there. And some, it's fine. For me and James, we were like, man, it's way easier just to take the boat out and put all the kids in it and go load up and get back in time. We still go kayaking with them, but not as much as we got in the boat now. So, but there's a lot of variables to think about when you're doing this. But my number one comment all the time is, like I say, and I've said it several times in the show, I hate that comment when we do a video and they're like, oh, you should have bought a boat. Well, you can't fish a kayak tournament out of it. So that's where I stand at that. That's where I stand on that. And it's the same thing. It's your money. Go spend it where it's going to make you happy, and enjoy it. And, if you don't want a boat, you don't want the maintenance, you don't want the hassle of keeping it clean. And that is a good thing about a kayak. Most of the time, I don't really spray mine down too much. Now, I'm going from a new lake to a new lake. I'll spray it down at a car wash, get all the grass or whatever it could be on it. But you don't want to wash a boat and keep it clean and this and that. It's all in what you're into. And but like I said, I just wanted to break the prices down and show you how very close you can be to a boat, to a kayak, and a John boat. You know what I mean? In a perfect world, if you really look at this, if you look at the numbers, breaking it all down, if there was more John boat tournaments, I mean, there's a lot of local tournaments, John boat tournaments, where they're electric only, or they're 9.9 only, or you can't go more than 20 horsepower kind of tournaments. You know what I mean? If they had more of those, I wish they had a traveling tournament for John boats. Me and James was talking about this the other day, where you traveled the country, and you fish these big tournaments out of a John boat where it's $150, $250, $300 entry fee. And you go fish these, and it's like 3 fish limit. You know what I mean? Because some of these John boats don't have big live wells. Yeah. So you don't want to cram all these fish in there and them dying in a live well. So it's 3 fish limit, and you go fish these big events. It's a 2-day event, I think
just do it with the app. The way you don't have to put them in a live well.
Yeah. Yep, you could do that. The fish catch
do
release
it by length.
Yep. And I think I feel like a lot of that is going to move. The industry is going to move towards a lot of that. I'm starting to see more bass boat tournaments go to that, So, you know, if they had more tournaments like that and the John boat stuff, now depending on where you live at and all that, there might be a lot more John boat tournaments that you can do that. But look at the numbers. Go really look at the numbers and weigh it out. I'm gonna try to put something on our website where it breaks it down for people. You know what I mean? We know what bass boats cost. I'm not knocking them because I got one, but they're outrageous for the average person to kind of get into fishing to buy a decked out bass boat. It's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Even going down to a 17-foot on certain boats. Now the Tracker 170 Pro, all day long. You know, Chris, if you were looking for a boat to get for you and your wife to go out fishing, enjoy it, I think it'd be hard to beat that Tracker with the 50 on it. You know, they also have the class. I mean, they got them cheaper. What's a Classic going for?
They got the little one. It's like 15, I think.
Yeah, and that one's what a 20 horsepower on the back or something like that.
Not sure.
I can't remember what that was, but anyways, I mean, you can get cheaper, and you can go find the used Tracker market too is very good as well. So you don't have to wrap up a lot of money in a boat. But I do recommend now that if you're going to buy a boat, if you can absolutely afford it, go buy a 4-stroke. It's just unbelievable the gas that you save in that compared to the 2-strokes, man. I'm gonna tell you what, when I fired that old Skeeter up with a 200 HPDI on the back of it,
It has a 50 on it.
Has a 50?
Yeah, the classic one.
Yeah, that's not bad at all then.
No.
So I was like, you know, when I had that HPDI, I mean, I could burn gas. I mean, man, I knew that I was about to spend $150 making long rides. You know what I mean? So it had 2 tanks on it, 2 25-gallon tanks. So, you know, you knew you were about to burn some money. This one here, I'm telling you, man, it just sips it so much. And I don't take it easy on them. I run them hard. I run them wide open. If I want to run from one spot to the next, I'm running wide open. So, but anyways, that's just kind of the basic rundown I wanted to do for you guys. I hope it wasn't too boring. If you're at work and you just kind of, and you've been in the thought process of, man, do I really want to kayak? It's kind of overwhelming when you watch videos of guys rigging kayaks. And I know it's overwhelming for a lot of people when they see some boats that we put out that's been rigged. And they're like, holy crap, that's a fortune. Do I really need all that to fish a kayak tournament? You do not. You absolutely do not. You look at guys like Russ Snyder. You look at guys at Casey Reed. He's real tech savvy. He's got a lot of that stuff on there. But I'm trying to think like Jody Queen and all. I mean, they got some stuff, but them dudes still catch it without all that. And Russ Snyder, man, he is just flat out good. And he goes out there. He don't have all the latest and greatest technology, but he's got good baits and he's got good spots and he's got time on the water. And I mean, in all honesty, if you want to get there and get fishing and you want to start out in the kayak side and move your way up, you don't need all that stuff. Get you a good kayak. That's my cry once. You know what I mean? Go buy you a good kayak. I'm not saying you got to spend $5,000 for a Hobie. I'm not saying you got to spend $3,000 for a Native or $4,000 for a Jackson, but I'm just saying at least spend you $1,000 is what it's looking like. You know what I mean? From a bona fide up, you know, some of the feel frees are $1,000. Some of the vibes, they're $1,000 plus, you know, so spend you, and what you're getting at when you're getting these is you're getting American made product for the most part. Some of them are still made overseas, but you're getting American made product or you're getting a thicker hull in general. You can go to Walmart and get a kayak, but it ain't going to last you. I can promise you. Cause I've seen it happen. Yeah. Like paper. It's basically like trying to say you built a kayak with a bunch of leaves and then you try to go down the river.
Yeah.
A paper mache.
Paper mache kayak.
Yeah, and then you hit that rock and it slices it wide open, and then there goes your $300 you just blew on a kayak. It's gone.
Yeah.
So you ain't plastic welding that big crack anymore. I can tell you that right now. Not saying you can't crack one of these higher end ones, but a lot of times it's not sliced all the way down through the center. So spend you a little bit of money, cry once, and get you a good kayak, and then let the rest come as you get out there and go fishing. It don't matter if you got the best electronics on there. If you don't understand what the fish are doing, it doesn't really matter because you just spend all that money on this stuff and you're not going to catch them until you understand what these fish are doing. So, but just kind of like say, I don't want to ramble on no more. That's the prices for the boat, for the kayak, for the John boat. It's very, very close in the giant moat to the Hobie. But all those numbers can be skewed when you buy used. They can be dropped substantially when you buy used. So that's what I would do. I would check the used market first before I went and bought brand new. As much as I love supporting all of our dealers, and you might be able to talk to your dealer too to see if they got any boats that they took in on trade, because some people do that. I like supporting our dealers, but I'm also trying to be a realist here, and I want people on the water. I don't want people feeling like they got to go spend a fortune to get on the water, because you don't have to. You can go buy used. So, but other than that, that's all I got to really add on that. I mean, Chris, I feel like I touched base on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, some numbers can be adjusted of something needed to be added that I forgot, or some things you just don't need, like a graph. You don't need that. You don't need odd and end stuff, or you can find XI3 used somewhere or whatever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's all in your budget and how you do your research and look around. So, but other than that, guys, make sure you go check out all our great sponsors. They've been supporting this podcast for a long, long while, and we really appreciate them. And if that you keep supporting them, they'll support us as well. So make sure you go check them out. We're trying. This show is on a Tuesday. We're trying to get back into doing these shoes. Trying to do these shows on Tuesday nights. I'm also trying to get back into releasing content on our One Objective Outdoors channel on Tuesdays, and then these shows are going to be released on One Objective Bass Fishing YouTube channel on Tuesdays as well, and which I just pushed these over in. I didn't know you could do this. That you can do podcasts on YouTube now. So I guess I don't know how it all works. Because I hit the button, it turns them into podcast, but it's still the video. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, like when you shut your phone off with, when you're watching iTunes, like YouTube, you just want to listen to it and you hit the button to kind of shut it off to make it go to sleep. It cuts off, your YouTube.
Yeah.
But if you have like podcast on, you know what I mean? You hit your podcast.
It's 2023 and they still haven't fixed it to where
you just have the sound,
Yeah.
So I don't know if the podcast part's like that. I don't know. But anyways, we got them in the podcast, so it'll be up there on that as well. And like I say, make sure you check out if you listen on iTunes, please give us a thumbs up or a 5-star rating if you can, if you think it's that good. And then comment down below why you like it and how we helped you out and all that. Because the more ratings we get, the better it pushes the show up and to get it out there even more. You know what I mean? So, and also on your YouTube and all that, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share the videos with your friends. Guys, we're working on 1,000 subscribers for One Objective Outdoors. We're over 500 now. I want to thank everybody for that. And we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. We're like 100 and some subscribers away from hitting 10,000 on One Objective Bass Fishing. So if you can help us with that, go hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. It really means a lot to us. It doesn't give us more money. So people thinking that if I subscribe to them, they're just going to make more money. It doesn't help us make more money. What it does is helps you get notifications when a new video comes out, and so make sure you do that and check all that stuff out. So other than that, guys, I'll talk to you later. Chris, I hope you have a great week. And
you too.
If you guys catch any fish, make sure you share them on Instagram and Facebook and tag us in it. Other than that, guys, we'll talk to you later. See you.
See you.